What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday.
Can you make
almost out of January that quick? I feel like I was just saying we're almost out of December, and now we're already almost out of January. Time is moving. Everything is moving. But today we got the Hivemind coming back. We got Daniel and Anthony going to come bless us with some more knowledge. If you guys have missed,
this show is sponsored by Hivemind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the Hivemind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
any of the previous classes that we've had with these guys, they're all in the university section. I highly recommend you guys go back and check them out. A lot of game was dropped in all the classes that they've done. More games going to be dropped for you guys today. And yeah, we got Daniel on right now. What's up, Daniel? How you doing?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
You doing all right?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm ready. Can you make me co-host to share screen?
Let's see. I thought I did already.
I don't know if you did or not.
Yeah, I did already.
Okay, perfect.
So today we're going to talk more land. Daniel, go ahead, take over. I made you co-host. Is Anthony already on? Is he coming on today?
He's right there.
Yeah, I'm here, man. I'm just going to be off camera. I'm driving. I got a couple hours driving ahead of me, so I'll be here.
Okay. All right. Hey, we get it done how we get it done. So it doesn't matter. So without further ado, Daniel, go ahead, take it over, and I'll make sure I try to mute everyone that comes in late. So let's get it.
If you guys have missed the last couple of videos, I encourage you to go back and watch them. We found a pretty unique strategy in land where we're able to, get into a lot of deals with $0, and we're working on our second deal right now that'll pull in $400K. And we're working on another one right now that should pull in about $600K, another one for $800, using this same strategy with very little to no capital. The first one took us 9 months. The second one took us about 3 months. And now we're going even faster than that. So it's a pretty cool, unique strategy. It's very simple. There's a lot of moving parts to it, though. So like I said, you might want to watch these videos again. But we're going to try to give you a more granular breakdown now of what a deal looks like, how to approach them, the kind of offers we make. And then we're going to show you a before and after on the first deal that we did, where we pulled in a $200K cash and $200K in notes.
If everyone doesn't know me, I used to be a truck driver about 5 years ago. Used to be a forklift operator, truck driver. Then I started my own company, and now we do real estate. So that was about 5 years since I quit my job, and Anthony's been in construction. So we're both a little bit on the manual labor side. We both blue collar 100%, but now we're doing real estate. So I kind of want to talk to you about give you a little bit more meats and bones of what we do and how we do it. So hopefully you'll learn a lot on this call. If you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. No question is not a stupid question. So please put it in the chat if you have any questions.
Yeah, this deal right here, this was our first deal that we got in San Antonio. It's on the south side of San Antonio. And we got the property for $10,000 an acre. And one of the challenges that we got on this property was it was about 60% in the flood zone. So no developers want it. There's not any people, that were after it. It was just a very challenging property. It's very long, so there's a lot of things wrong with it. We're going to show you what a picture of it looks like. But we negotiated $10,000 an acre here, and we took it down using a creative financing with some private capital. It turned out to be a really good one.
All right, so I'm sharing my screen. I wanted to show you how the parcel looked at first. So if you see this lot, it has 2 pieces of frontage on the front, and then the bottom, that curvature parcel underneath was part of the deal as well. So we can only highlight one parcel in this app. This is called Land Glide. If you want to check it out, it's a really cool platform. Its app base is about $5.99 a month or something like that. Or $9.99. I don't know what it is. But the whole parcel was 107 acres. It was a long 2 pieces of frontage. There was a house up front. And then those frontage on the back end actually touched that William Anderson loop, if you can see towards the bottom. So that was how we got it. And the purchase price on this was $1,070,000. So I'm going to stop sharing screen. And I can show you what we did towards it on the back of it. Anthony, you want to talk about how we subdivided it?
Yep. So For when you're looking at doing a subdivide, there's a couple of moving parts. A subdivide means that you take a larger tract and you cut it down into smaller pieces. And that's what we did is we turned around and sold those pieces off. So that involves getting an engineering firm involved, getting some surveys drawn up. So you're essentially, like I said, like you're just taking like a large pizza and just cutting it into small pieces, selling them off in smaller chunks. That's how we've been able to move tracts that are valued at several $millions because nobody's coming in and buying these tracts. Right? Very few people can go and check for $2 or $3 million on a single piece of land, but we break them down, sell them off. So the strategy. So after we hire the engineers, we come in, they come out, they survey the property off. We don't do any other development beyond that. So we're not, putting in fences or roads or electric or sewer or water, nothing complicated. So we're able to, like I said, to churn these out pretty quick now. Our latest one we knocked out in, I would say, less than 90 days. But this is the after picture of what we came up with. So if you saw before, you just had those two like entrances at the top. And now those long, skinny yellow tracks are what we made. We made a 10-acre tracks all along there, and we sold each one of those off one at a time. On this particular deal, we sold them all for cash except two that we sold on seller finance. It took us 9 months from start to finish because, like I said, this was our first project. It was very complicated. The tracks are ugly. They were only about 150 feet wide, every single tract. So they were difficult to sell just because of the shape. So somebody has to buy a property that's 150 feet wide by 3,500 feet long. So difficult move, but tons of marketing. And, I think it turned out pretty good. Like I said, total $400K cash on this one, but that's the after picture right there of what that would look like when you bring in the engineers.
Since a lot of our mentors, like they said, like, you guys are crazy taking down this deal. And like I said, we made it work. So I think it was a really good learning lesson. Now we know what we're doing a little bit more, and we know exactly what we're looking for to make it a lot easier. Where our timeline, we can move these properties a lot quicker because that one was you can see it was a little funky. By all means, it was a little funky, but now we're getting a little bit better of subdividing, getting properties with more frontage, more square lots versus rectangle lots. And if we are picking up a lot, we got to make sure it has great access, which is our only parameter that we're looking for is access. We use a lot of different factors when we're looking at this. But you want to mention flood zone on that property, right, Anthony?
Yeah. So I don't have a picture of it handy. I would have to dig it back up. But yeah. So if you
I can pull it up in a second. If you give me a second.
You want to show that picture again with the subdivide while you're looking for it?
Yeah, sure. All right.
Yeah. Well, Daniel pulls up the flood maps. If you look right about halfway down that picture, where you see like a blue dot, I would say a little bit north of that and all the way to the very bottom down to Loop 1604. That was pretty much all flood zone. So if you look at the bottom right hand side of our tract, it says HOLY. It looks like, kind of like a stair stepper with a long, narrow entrance on the bottom right-hand side. That property was the only one that was outside of the flood zone, just that little 10-acre patch. And everything else on the south side was all flood zone. And we still managed to sell all of it. So another good reason why this particular property worked out is because you had an entrance at the very top of the tract. And then even all those long, skinny tracks, is like the whole southern portion, I would say about 1/3 of all of those tracts was also in the flood zone. So if you're looking at doing any of these types of subdivides, as long as your entrance from the main road is non-flooded, the back portion of the property is flooded, that's okay. One deal breaker is if the entrance to the property off the main road is flooded, that's going to affect your ability to get address for that property. So I just wanted to show you guys that portion while Daniel pulls up the flood map if you can find it.
I got it, but it's not showing up the floodplain for whatever reason.
Yeah, sometimes FEMA doesn't load.
Yeah, that's why it's not loading right now. I wasn't prepared to get that screenshot, but the floodplain was in the middle of the property.
Yeah, so I would say about 50% plus of that property was off flood zone. And again, every developer in the country was going to walk away from that deal because there was too much flood zone that couldn't be overcome. But using the strategy that we use, we can move a lot of flood land. So that's another thing is these properties for us, they're low hanging fruit because nobody else is going after them. There's not a developer in the country that would have picked up that lot. And we managed to do pretty good on it. And now that we know a lot more, we're getting a lot better. I'm going to send you another picture of maybe the 54 acres that we finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick.
A lot of what we're doing is looking for troubled properties. See, most developers are looking for the perfect piece of land with no flood zone, access, water lines, electric. They're looking for the perfect piece of property, and they're willing to pay the prime price for it. There's so much land out there that it doesn't fit those parameters that we can really make work using this strategy. So we're kind of picking up the properties that won't move for whatever reason, and we're fixing them to make them sellable and profitable to somebody.
Yeah, I texted over to you, and then I also texted the one over there off of 281. So I'll tell you about some of the challenges on this property right here. This was a 100 and I think it's like 120 acres. The front portion was 75 acres, and we were buying 54 acres for one brother. It's going through the probate process. So we got our section resurveyed off of the 54 acres. We separated it down into 5-acre tracts. You can see them numbered there. And each property has about 300 feet of road at the very front of the property. So these have plenty of access, plenty of entrance. You can't see it on this image, but there was if you look at the number 4 track, it says 11.33. There's about 10,000 tires that were thrown on this property. So we figured that was probably going to be one of our biggest challenges. That was a big variable. It could have been maybe, 50 to 100,000 worth of cleanup, worth of tires. And we ended up selling that lot to the gentleman that bought number 3. We sold all the lots for $199, and we sold lot number 4 to the gentleman that bought number 3 for $150. We picked up this lot for $350,000, and after we separated it all down, sold them all off. That's about $950 worth of sales on this particular track. So there's another $600,000 spread on 54 acres, and this one we completed in under 90 days.
Yeah, we'll the next one.
Yeah, let's take a look at the next one now. This is one that's in progress.
If you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. We're not afraid to answer questions, that's for sure. Here you go. Here's the next one.
Okay, yep. So this is another track. This is almost 220 acres, right off of 281. This is south of San Antonio. This one was going to be a lot more challenging because if you look at that white pad, you see there's like a green S with a square around it. There's a white pad right in the middle of the screen. And that's like a pump station right there. It looks like it could be either for oil or for like water purification. We're trying to figure out what it is. We're trying to get a hold of the company that has a lease on it. And then you'll see a road that's cutting right through the middle of the property, right in the center, heading north from that white pad. And then also a road heading, west to east in the middle. So we actually did a subdivide around those roads. Is what we're working on with the engineers right now. We're picking up this property for $8,000 an acre, and then we're selling 20-acre tracts for $249,000. So there's about a $800,000 spread on this property right here. And we have 4 right out of 10 tracts sold. So almost halfway sold out on this one. We've been under contract for 3 months. We have 3 months to close. And, that's roughly going to pull in about $800,000 on a property that we're getting. I said for $8,000 an acre. We're actually not going to close on this one. We're going to take our in buyers funds to do a double close. And then we have $1.5 million of private capital that we're bringing in to finish funding the deal. And then we're going to see if we either sit on some of these notes or liquidate some of the notes to finish paying for the property.
All right. There you go. So a lot of this stuff, like who wants a property next to a pump station? There's people out there. It's an ugly lot, essentially, with something right in the middle of it, and we're making it pretty by subdividing it, and everybody gets their own little chunk. So, like I said, a lot of what we're doing is finding problem and troubled properties, whether it's debris, garbage, a random lease in the middle. Like, it doesn't even matter. We're trying to make money out of stuff that people won't touch, and I think there's a lot of gems and stuff in the gold that people overlook. So make sure you guys look at stuff that isn't the prettiest, but you can always make it work and still make some money on it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention is that we showed that particular property to several developers, and they were all interested. They loved the price. Everything was looking really good on it. But once they got out there with the pipeline situation and the easements, there's just a lot of variables for a developer. So again, another property that was never going to be developed in 1,000 years. And we're able to come in under 6 months and come up with $800,000 on it. So a lot of these deals are really low hanging fruit. We could continue to show you more examples, but we're even going after listed properties now, right? And so that's something that we had never really done or thought of previously. We would always go direct to seller, which would be typical with real estate investing. But now we're just going directly to on-market properties. I talked to an agent today for some land over by Houston that's been listed for over 6 months. And told them what we were going to do about the strategy, subdividing, coming in, selling off the lots. And then I even told the agent that we were planning to double close with our in buyers to the property seller. And he said he's interested. He said he thinks that his seller is going to go for it. So we'll update you guys on that one. But again, that's just another opportunity. I would say for roughly the spread on that one's about 1.2 million, but if we want to be a little bit more conservative on the low end, I would say, again, to move quickly, probably pull in another like 600 to 800 on that one tract. And the sellers knowing and the agent knowing on a listed property that we're gonna use this strategy to move the property, which means, again, I would say just based on the amount of engineering we're gonna need to do, I would say we're 15,000 max into a property where you can extract 600 to 800,000.
Yeah, like I said, don't get overwhelmed with the crazy stuff. We're doing small deals too. We took down a 9-acre lot in Florida right before Christmas, and we might have a buyer ready for it that can close in 30 days. They're supposed to submit an offer later today. But we picked up a 9-acre lot. Let me see if I can pull that one up. If you want to bring up if you want to talk about that one, Anthony, I can bring it up real quick.
Yep. So it was actually a wholesaler that brought us this deal, and he said that he had a property for 9 acres. He was looking for a $10,000 assignment fee. It was a seller that bought a property, a seller financed from an individual, and they had a year to pay it off. They had a 1-year balloon, and they were coming up on their 1 year. And the gentleman that financed it to him said, hey, I need to get my money. And so they didn't have it. Obviously, they started to avoid him, and they reached out to us and said, hey, what can you do to help us? So we bought their interest out, and then now we are the ones that are going to pay off the property seller. But instead of us paying it out of our own pocket, we immediately closed with the original owner. We gave them their money, and we listed it on the MLS. Daniel said, and now we have an offer now. I would say, how long have we been into this thing? Maybe for 3 weeks or something, a month?
We got it right before Christmas. So it was like the 23rd or the 22nd before Christmas. So it's been like 33 days.
Yep. Did you find it yet?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
I know we went kind of fast today, guys. So if you didn't see the other 2 videos, we apologize. But yeah, there's a lot of information on the other 2 videos of how we got to this point.
So here's a lot. Again, we have frontage on 2 streets. We went the initial route of subdividing it into maybe like 2 4.5 acre lots, but the county wouldn't. Where this is at in Palm Beach, Florida, they wouldn't allow it, and it would take a long process, and we didn't really want to do that. So we're just selling it 9 acres and 9. Picked it up for 8.9 acres. We're going to sell it 8.9 acres. So this one, like I said, we took down with 10,000 to the seller, 10,000 to the wholesaler. So we're only into this deal 20,000 till about today. So there's the deal right there. And like I said, this one I'm expecting a contract tonight for it that we're selling for, I think, $450 is what we're selling it for. So it's pretty interesting. So engineering and surveying are your only investments in the land. 100%. Sometimes we might like put a sign up, but usually we really don't do any of that. Anthony's like cleared a pathway to clear a fence out, but usually he's not doing anything besides sending like a handyman out there. A handyman can go do that job of clearing the fence out, that way they can open it.
Yeah, typically there's no development at all. Yeah, so you're just really just doing this on paper. So yeah, it's just as easy as hiring an engineering firm. They send out a surveyor, put it together, file those plats with the state, file those surveys with the county, and it's all done. Yeah, it's a pretty simple, cut and dry process.
One thing I want to mention in this call is that a lot of these deals, you may think there's only one deal like that. And I hope after listening to us a few times that we're finding like deals like this all the time. So we want to talk about like scarcity mindset. Is that if you're looking for these deals and talking to sellers in the situation, sometimes you have to make the offer and wait and come back. So like a lot of these opportunities, like you may think, oh, this is an amazing deal, and you're going all into it. Agents and sellers can smell desperation of if you think it's your only deal. So if you're like new to this, you gotta like calm down before you talk to the seller, because a lot of what Anthony does, Anthony's like the sales side. He'll be like, oh, here's my offer, here's what we're gonna do. If you don't want to do that, let me know. And it's one of those things where like you kind of just make your offer and don't be scarcity mindset about it, because there's more deals out there. And one of the cool things about land, there's so much of it everywhere. Like literally, like any one of those properties, we can literally hit up the neighbors in marketing and do the same thing again over and over again. So like once we hit up a certain area, I'm like, man, that was a really good deal. We could do this again. I mean, we can literally hit up the same area again and hit up any buyers that potentially came in and hey, check out this lot. So you get a lot of people in the land space. What they'll do is they'll do that exact strategy. They'll put a certain county in certain size acres, and then whenever buyers come through, they'll be like, hey, I have a lot on this cross street, lot on this cross street, lot on this cross street. Let me know which one you want. So you can kind of pick and choose. And there's a lot of land available in a lot of different spaces. What does it cost you? Go ahead.
I was just it looked like Ace was asking, what did we spend on surveying that first lot on Jet Road? I think the surveys all in with the engineering cost was about sub 20. It was somewhere like about 18,000. And then we had flags installed out on the property. And to install flags, I believe it was about $150 an hour. So probably I would say max about 25,000 for that subdivide, for the engineering costs, survey costs, everything. So we had a $200K that we brought in for private capital, and then we paid off the seller with his own property. So every time we sold the lot, we gave those funds to the seller, paid off our private capital. Our surveying costs were our only cost out of pocket for us on that deal. which was 25,000.
Ace asks again, do you guys automatically calculate those costs into deals, or do you get it on the back end?
Do we automatically calculate it in?
So for an example, like, when you are just buying like a single family home, for example, if you walk through, if you get like a distressed property, you're already calculating your costs into that deal already. So do you guys do that with land as well? Or is that just something that you guys will add it in on the back end? Because do you guys already have, is the surveying cost going to be based on how many acreage you have, or what exactly they have to do?
Per entrance. So on that 54-acre tract that we just showed a little while ago, the surveying, they quoted me $1,500 per entrance. So since we only had 5, I think we're like $7,500 into that second tract.
Okay.
This one here, yeah. So you see 15 times 5 entrances, and that's it, man. That's engineering costs, survey costs, all in. And then I know they're going to bill us a little bit extra for the flags. Those red dots that you see are where I've requested flags, so we can mark the corner of each person's property, and then I want like a halfway point on the property. That way they can kind of know exactly where they need to put up their fence lines and such. But I would say to install another, I don't know, looks like 30 flags or so, I might spend another $2,500 to $5,000 max.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, it's about 12,000 in maybe on a deal where we're going to pull out about, I would say 600 mortgages. But then if we sold those notes or got a loan against them, I would say, if we wanted to get out of the deal instead of hanging on to those mortgages, then we could walk away with about 400, from a $12,000 investment.
And one thing I kind of want to answer towards your question, Ace, is the reason why we like land is because there's no ceiling. A house that's a 3-2 and the whole neighborhood is 3-2s, 2,000 square feet, it might be 200,000. If you over remodel that property, you're only going to get 200,000. You under remodel that property, you might get 200,000. There's a cap in that property, and what comps say is what that property is worth based off of neighboring comps, right? With land, it doesn't even matter because there's no verifiable comps. It's really when we sell or finance, we kind of create that top of where people are willing to afford it. Think of people that buy cars. What is the first question they ask you when you go to the finance department? Hey, how much can you afford? How much do you have down? Because with those two numbers that you give them your whole buying criteria. You don't know that, but when you go into the dealership, that gives them the buying criteria. So we're doing the same thing, but on the sales side with the land, is that we're not like overpricing these properties. We're selling them at a reasonable rate. That's not within reason, but we're seller financing them too. We bring in our own finance department, just like the car dealership, and now we're able to sell them for whatever we want, just like the dealerships do. Does that make sense, Ace?
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. Do you guys, another question I have for you guys, and not to get sidetracked or anything like that, do you guys ever get land off of auction websites? Because all the auction websites I've ever dealt with, I see endless amounts of land, but I never dig too deep into it. So what do you guys use, any type of auction websites or any type of auctions to find land deals?
It's 100% no. And the reason why, usually with auction websites, you have to do your due diligence before you even make an auction, and then you have to close within a certain time frame after it. We'd rather pay full price and get our time frame, whether it's 6-9 months of due diligence. I'd rather be comfortable with that time frame to actually pre-sell the properties without being forced to find at the auction. Because most of these properties, like everybody's like, oh, how many? Like the national like average for people that wholesale real estate, and if anybody's a wholesale in here, they're like every 2 to 3 contracts that you contract are going to fall through. Not with us. Every property we contract, we're going to buy in most cases, because we have the time and due diligence to find buyers in most cases, that by the time closing time comes, we're already ready to close, or we're going to get the private money to close. So our close ratio is like 80% versus other people in wholesale companies is like 30%.
Yeah, I would say too, I had a gentleman who brought us a deal from an auction that looked like it was going to be amazing, pennies on the dollar. And immediately, like within minutes of the auction starting, it like 100x'd. So yeah, it just made it not worth the deal anymore. And like Daniel said, so let's say you do win the auction and you win, I don't know, 1,000 acres for 200 grand. Like you need to write a check immediately. Like you need to pay that within like 24 hours or something, or same day. And a lot of what we're doing, we're locking up stuff with next to nothing out of pocket. We have a tract in San Antonio that's 120 acres, and we have a year to close, which means we have a year to subdivide and sell that property before we got to come up with any cash at all. I say we put $2,500 down for earnest money. All right, and that's another potential spread right there of like maybe $300 to $500K. And then also we're closing on 54 acres this week. And the only thing we require, it's a $1 million property. We're getting it for $600,000. We're doing $5,000 down and $5,000 a month. So I don't know any other place where you can take control of $1 million property with $5,000 other than land.
Yeah, the house seller would laugh in your face. But yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And like I said, it all comes back to the whole thing of land. It has value, but it only has value to certain people. It's very liquid. There's only a certain amount of buyers for it. And people that are buyers, they come in cash. And people are usually aren't paying full asking for the property unless they get a year due diligence, which means that they can guarantee they're going to make their money. So like locking a property for 6 months isn't really unheard of with most sellers. Probably about a month ago, all the major builders that were under contract for buying land, they canceled all of their contracts that they had on property. And it totaled like $30 million or something of earnest money that they just let go instead of going through the purchase, just because they wanted to cancel all their properties that they were acquisitioned to buy. So it's one of those things where like 6 months to a year isn't really unheard of to contract, and it's all up for negotiation. So if we can lock up a property for $5,000-$10,000 with the potential of making six figures or more, we're going to do that before going to an auction and having to put all that down within 48 hours.
I'll say something else interesting that we're working on right now. We're looking at a tract that's 500 acres in California, right? So if you structure these deals the way that we're structuring them, a lot of times we're like zero out of pocket on the front end, right? For 100 acres or several hundred acres. We have one that we're looking at in California. We're thinking of selling off 400 out of the 500 acres and then just keeping 100 for ourselves for free. Right. So if you think about that, right, if you're investing in land or any other kind of assets, we have some NFTs and we have a lot of other stuff that we're in. I know you guys know a lot about that space, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know any other space where you can go in and capture like 100 acres or, that much real estate, that much value with zero out of pocket, just from the way that you structure the deal. So that's why we love land as well. It's like you can just kind of walk around structuring deals like this, extracting a lot of capital for property that you're not even the rightful owner to, right? And we only own it for a few minutes sometimes before we resell it. But yeah, that's another cool thing about the land business that nobody's thinking about. It's like you can't really go out and buy a 10-house portfolio with $5,000 and then liquidate 8 of them and keep 2 for yourself. But in land, you can do it over and over and over again. And I think nobody's paying attention to it. So it's a complete blue ocean strategy right now.
100% blue ocean. And like we have people that like their whole like there's a bunch of land investors out there, and there's not very many of us, but there's a bunch out there that their whole strategy is to make 10-20% offers off of 1 acre or less properties. And like we're the total opposite. One of our clients, he's a commercial agent in Texas. Right now in Texas, there's like over 320,000 agents inside the state of Texas. In the commercial space alone, there's only 400. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, well, how many are land? It's got to be maybe 1,000, if that, or less. So like, as you get into certain niches, there's way less competition than anything else, any other asset class. So you got to think if there's that equivalent numbers as investors, I mean, it's a blue ocean. And the crazy thing about this is that there's more land than houses. So I can teach this for 10 years and still be a blue ocean. We'll find out.
Yeah, I was going to say that a lot of the land investors, I would say 99% of land investors out there, they teach you to go after infill lots, right? So you go and you just find those little lots that are between 2 houses. You make an offer on it for $10,000, turn around, wholesale it for $20,000 or $30,000 or more. So that's another way that you can do land with very little to nothing out of pocket. Another strategy that we've done before too on smaller deals like that is where you would find a lot like that, like an infill lot for $10,000, and then you turn around and sell it for $10,000 down, for $40,000. So again, you're zero out of pocket, and now you have a mortgage for $30,000, that 10% interest that somebody's paying you. So that's another cool land niche, but that's something that we don't focus on at all. We don't teach about that niche. We don't talk about it. We don't look for those kinds of deals. I think we've probably done 2 or 3 of them. So it's like we're again, if you're in the land space and you're learning about it from like a lot of what the big guys are talking about that's already been popularized. They're looking at those little infill lots. So I think we've only found one other person so far that's doing what we're doing. And we don't even really follow their business model. We don't know exactly what they're doing, but their model is probably similar to ours. But we've only come across one person in over 4 years that's doing it the way that we're doing it, going after properties that all developers, all other land investors, they're not even looking at it.
And the one dude we did come across, he's buying cash. Like he'll buy that $1 million property cash. And we're like, we're not even putting the cash down. We got a few questions here. Got a question. There's 2 lots. I'm looking at zone M2. They want 150K, but we're 60K. The other want 250, but we're 65K on the tax roll. So the tax roll is nowhere based on the value. We use it as a negotiating tool that was a negotiating tool. So in Texas, before COVID, we used to use it as an anchor. So if anybody that does sales and negotiations, you anchor your seller. So if the tax value is 100,000, it might be worth 2 to 3. So whenever the seller, well, I don't know what price I want. Well, what do the taxes say? Well, taxes say it's worth 100. Well, that's my offer, 100. And that's kind of where we'd start. We would anchor the seller based off the tax value, and then we'd kind of build up from there. So usually the tax value has no bearing on what the property is actually worth, to answer your question, Jose. And then in which states do you purchase land besides Florida and Texas? We're looking everywhere, man. Right now, we're coming into like our stride, and we're looking everywhere. I literally had a call about 3 hours ago from a guy from Michigan. He wanted to send me some land deals in Michigan. I'm like, all right, send them over. We're looking at a deal in California today, North Carolina, South Carolina. I mean, we're looking at any state right now. Besides New Jersey, probably New York and Hawaii. I would say we'll probably stay away from those, but anywhere else, we're looking. In Maryland, interested in land investing. Do previous videos cover finding lots and structuring deals? Yes, definitely go check out the other videos, Donna. We did. I think I don't know if this is our 3rd or 4th call. I don't remember. I don't know. It's definitely the 3rd. So definitely go check it.
Yeah, it's the 3rd one. So all right, I got a question for you guys. So for everyone who's listening right now, and then everyone that is gonna listen in the future when we post the recording, if somebody wanted to work with you guys, whether it be either bring you a deal or somebody wants to, get in and be kind of boots on the ground for you guys, what do they need to do to, one, get in contact with you guys, and what can they expect as far as what type of capital will they need to bring to the table? What type of time frame, or are you guys even looking to, kind of bring anyone on or any of that? Yeah,
that's a great question. So if you have a deal and you want to essentially see if we'll buy it, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram. We're both there. We both readily answer our DMs on Facebook. So if you find Daniel Martinez and Anthony Gayona on Facebook, you can both message us there, and we'll look at the deal. If you want to partner with us, we are looking for, like, if you have a deal and you want to partner with us, we're like, hey, like, we have somebody that brought us a deal. It's out of his realm, but he has capital. So we're like, okay, we'll JV with you, but we'll share the burden of it. And it's kind of like, if we're going to JV the deal, you got to kind of bring more than just the deal to the level. Like, we'll bring our knowledge and our capital in place to do the deal, do the transaction. We got to carry some other weight depending on what it is and what the deal is. Port Arthur, and that's kind of, if you have a deal, like I said, we'll look at any deal, any state. Just DM us. We'll look at it. We're pretty quick at doing this. It probably takes about 10, 15 minutes to go through it and see if it's a deal we like. People send us deals through Reddit. People send us deals through Twitter. We've got a lot of deals everywhere. And we're on every platform too. So if you search Hivemind CRM, we're everywhere. So, but Facebook is probably the best place to get a hold of us directly. Port Arthur, Texas. Yes, we'll look at a deal there. Anywhere in Texas, I'm telling you. Texas is our bread and butter. We'll look at any deal there. We're doing a deal. We just got a contract from a wholesaler, I think Tuesday of this week. He's like, I got it for $175. I want a $50,000 assignment fee. I'm like, all right, that's fine. So we're buying it for $225, 9 acres in Tyler, Texas. So we're under contract for that one. We just picked it up from a wholesaler. So like, just by you bringing a deal, you can make 50, 60 grand. Like, it doesn't even bother us. I really don't care how much he makes. That was just a deal brought to us earlier this week. So it's one of those things where, like, if you have a deal, if you think you have a deal, by all means, message it to us. And one thing we like, please don't contract it. If you're going to contract one of these, please get it for 90 days or more. Don't bring me a 30-day contract deal where, like, we have to close by next week. Unless it's a really, really good price, we're just not going to do it. We'll pass. Our time frame is more important than the price or the deal itself. Just because there's depending on how big the deal is, we'll move pretty quick. So for instance, the deal in Florida that the lady was in pre-foreclosure mentioned earlier in the call, she didn't want to deal with the foreclosure. So we made 10 grand into the deal. I mean, we closed that deal out within, I think, a week. So it's one of the deals where we paid the wholesaler out, and we got deed to the property within a week of that one, just because it was such a good deal and they wanted time. So usually usually don't move that quick unless it's a really good price point or there's a dire situation where they want to move. And like not all these land deals have debt on them, but some do. One of the deals we're working has like $1.5 million of debt on it, and we're probably looking to take over the debt as well with the deal. We are only interested in land deals. I do not want to see any houses. As sad as that may sound, I don't want to see any other asset class. Just because our niche is 100% land. I've only done one house deal myself personally, and it was my personal house when I moved from Georgia. So I sold it on a seller finance, which is kind of funny, which I can talk about. But for everybody, I kind of want to be a little bit controversial because I know the Wealth Squad's stock people and dividends. I kind of want to bring up an example for everybody here to show you the ROI, just investing differently and through a different lens to give you perspective. So for everybody here that does dividends, you probably get like a 4 to 6% dividend from VOO and T-Mobile, AT&T. There's a lot of I forget all the ones. I did stock investing for right before when COVID started, but you get a yield from dividend income, right? So I want you to get a different perspective. Yes, might take a $10,000, and like I get $150 a quarter from dividend paying stocks, right? That pays that 4%. I want to give you a difference, like a different mindset shift to invest in real estate or land. So most people that invest in real estate, they always think of like, well, I can't get a good rate of return because I can't buy a $50,000 or $100,000 house. Land is super cheap. You can get a deal like that pretty easily if you target the right size, depending on what cash you have on hand. We usually seller finance all of our properties for 10% interest, and we use it to oversell them. So let's say you find a $50,000 lot. You could probably sell it for $60,000 to $70,000 with $10,000 to $20,000 down at 10% interest. So if you have that cash, or you have a credit card, or not, a credit card's not a good idea, but if you have that cash and you're looking for a ROI on that, I mean, easily you can buy a $50,000 lot, get $10,000 to $20,000 down, and then get a 10% ROI on the debt. And that's straight cash flow, no tenants, no toilets, no repairs, straight 10% interest rate right in your bank. And it was one of I saw it, and the reason why I bring this up because I know everybody here is big on Twitter. There was a tweet talking about how there was a developer that bought a piece of land. He built and developed an 8-unit, an 8-plex, and then by the time he finished building, he was the rent rate and NOI didn't stabilize. So he was like $2 million to the deal, and the deal was only worth him 1.7. So he lost $250,000 building a property that didn't make sense. And I'm like, if you would have bought $1.5 million of houses or $1.5 million of real estate, he could have got a 10% ROI without losing money. And that's not legal advice. But it's one of those things where like you can get different perspective on different asset classes, and you don't necessarily have to take a 2% ROI on a dividend stock. You can do other things in other asset classes to produce income that's bank level, because banks, they do not manage properties. All they do is collect payments, and they leverage debt. Do you think land deals are easier than home deals? From my opinion, yes. There's more of them. They're easy to negotiate. Sellers don't want them. People that inherit them don't want them. And there's plenty of them to go around. And you can,
I would say too,
you can negotiate a great deal with a little money up front.
Interest rates don't apply, right? So a lot of our buyers are not going through banks. We're either doing a seller finance, or we're dealing with property sizes that people get paid in cash. There's no remodel, there's no variables, right? So if you pick up a piece of land and you pick your sell price for it, you're not going to end up losing money because it needed a roof or a water heater, or needs to be rewired or any of that kind of stuff. It takes out a lot of the variables. We're picking up one lot right now. It's listed for $149 on market. It's been listed for a long time. I don't know how or why it hasn't sold, but we're going to go ahead and lock that up. We negotiated $10,000 down. We're going to split it in half, and we're going to sell each side for $149 seller finance with like 10 or 20% down. So that's a listed property, that we're picking up with 10 grand. And then we're going to create a spread in there of at least $149. We're getting it for 0% interest, and then we'll turn around and sell it for like 10 or 12% interest with 10 or 20% down. It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, and like I said, it doesn't have to make it complicated. Like I said, we talked about taking down deals of 5-10 grand that are hundreds of thousands of dollars that have potential huge upside. So a lot of these properties, it's all up for negotiation. The reason why we love real estate, everything's negotiable. And the cool thing about land is you're kind of buying at the bottom. Everybody talks about buying, I'm thinking Visa just bottomed out, and it's at the lowest it's been in 5 years. It's at the bottom. Imagine buying land at the bottom. If you sell to somebody and they come in and put a water line in, they drill a well, that's $30,000-$40,000 of improvement that they did to your property that was at the bottom. They come in and permit and put a house on it. Well, now you got even more asset that if they ever stop paying, they just improved your property. So there's only room for improvement in most of these cases. They really can't mess it up. I mean, even if the whole lot burned, well, now it's cleared versus treed. Like, that's worth something. In worst case scenario, So there's a lot of upside more than the downside. And it's just something you have to like wrap your head around to understand. Because a lot of people that do houses, they understand that, but they don't even look at any other asset class because it's out of the realm. We talked to some equity fund managers yesterday that do houses and multifamily, and we're telling them this strategy, and they're like, you can do that with land. And it's one of those things where like they don't know what you don't know what you don't know, and they didn't know what they don't know. And it's one of those things where like you have to like really look into it, understand why it works, understand how it works, and then understand the problem you're fixing. If you're providing housing, you're providing housing to people that can't afford a house to buy. What we're doing is we're providing land at a reasonable price with seller financing that people can't afford to buy. People just can't go out there and buy 100 acres or 50 acres at a time. They can maybe buy 10. So people that can afford to buy it are looking to buy it. And if you can provide that solution, they're going to buy it from you. And then the other thing about seller financing is we make it hassle-free. Going through a bank to buy on land, they want to see what you're going to do with it. They want 30 to 40% down because it's a risk for the bank. And they have all these different hoops you got to jump through just to get a loan. But with us, it's hassle-free. So that's worth something. We can oversell the property because we're providing a chunk of property hassle-free. And that's worth something. Any other questions? Great questions today, guys.
No, I don't have any more questions, man. You guys hammered it. I do want to say something though. For those of you guys, if you guys were kind of, lost a little bit, or this is your first time seeing these guys, please go back and check out the previous videos. The previous videos, they talked about how you guys can get started right away, how you can take action literally tomorrow, right? The very first video that they came on and did, one of the questions was, how can I start tomorrow? And they broke down how you can literally jump into this tomorrow, right? And then they also talk about how they got to where they're at right now. They talked about other deals that they've done. They showed other deals that they've done. They've given information, addresses, showed pictures, showed everything. So, these guys know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. I would highly recommend you guys link up with these guys. If you're interested in land, if you're curious, if you've seen deals, if you might have something, reach out. If you don't have anything and you want to get started and you're a hustler, reach out to these guys and see what you can do, how they can help. It's better to beat the curve and network with people who are actually doing this versus you trying to go out and figure it out yourself. So previous videos, they talked about, if you guys want to go figure it out on your own, they talked about how you guys can go figure it out on your own. So they gave you guys the blueprint of how to do this. And like I said, this is the third time coming on, fully explain this stuff. So if you guys are truly interested, want to tap into this space, which I would highly recommend just off of the pros alone, that's the one hard thing about real estate is most of the time you're going to need some type of capital, or you're going to need to know where to find that capital. And you have a shorter time frame that you have to be able to do that. I don't care if you're a wholesaler. I don't care if you fix and flip. I don't care if you're into turnkey properties. I don't care if you buy auction properties. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you either have to have money or you need to know someone that has money. So one of the great benefits to when it comes to this land stuff is that you can really get started with knowing the right people to network with, and you guys can see who the right people are to network with. So take advantage of this, reach out to these guys, network with them, great guys. And I know it will definitely lead to something. So like I said, once again, another great class from Daniel and Anthony. Appreciate you guys taking the time. You guys, if you guys heard Anthony, he's in the car on his way to somewhere, and he's, still taking the time out of his day to make sure he comes on and gives you guys this gems. Daniel, just like the rest of us, has family stuff going on, taking the time out of his day. You guys seen his kid come in the screen. So people are taking time away from their family and friends to come on and give you guys this knowledge and this information. They're not selling anything to you guys. They're literally just on here to help what they have going on is truly something special. You know, I talk about you guys a lot to people that I see, because I see what you guys are doing, and I think what you guys are doing is amazing. Daniel, you made up a great point on comparing doing land deals versus dividend investing. This is what you guys need to understand. There's an abundance out there. You guys need to open up your mind and realize that there's not one way this is just going to be the best way. This is how you do it. So there's other doors out there for you guys to knock down and see what's on the other side of those doors, because there are endless amounts of opportunities out there. The thing is, are you going to be hungry enough to really want to get out there and do it? You know, you say you're interested in land deals. This sounds like this is something that you could probably grasp, something that you can do. But what's going to be your next steps? Are you just going to close your phone, close your laptop, go on about your day, and then just kind of forget about it until it pops up a couple years down the road? And you're like, damn, I remember hearing about these Hivemind guys, and I could have had 2 years already in the game, right? Don't let 2025 come around and you talk about, damn, I remember sitting in a Wealth Squad class hearing about this land. Now all of a sudden you want to try to get into it. Don't waste that time. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Years are going to pass by regardless. Land is never going away, right? And if land does ever go away, we're going to be in so much trouble that it's not even going to matter anyways. You know what I mean? So really, I really appreciate you guys. And I seriously mean it, because I know you guys are taking time away from your families. I know you guys are taking time away from your day. So, you know, when I speak, you know, hopefully I don't never want to speak for anyone else, but I know the members definitely appreciate you guys coming on, you know, taking the time out of your guys' day to really drop this knowledge, which I feel is really mine. You guys really get on here and you guys do blow my mind. So I really appreciate you guys. So appreciate the questions that everyone asked. I don't know if Anthony or Daniel, if you guys have any closing things for the squad, you know, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing I'll say is, like, if you want to know where to start today, go find something that's listed 6 months, a year or longer, and make a creative offer with 90 days, 120 days to close, and let us know. That's one way to start. Go do that. A lot of this is just exercising that muscle and talking to agents. We talk to agents all the time, and sometimes the agents want to sell to get paid. If it doesn't sell, they never get paid. So it's one of those things where, like you said, mutual agreement. If I can make and facilitate the sale of this property, they're gonna make it happen. So go make some offers. A lot of these deals, they come back to you and you need to follow up. So make the offer and wait. A lot of there was a deal we bought. We made an offer. They wanted 1.3. I forget what offer we made, Anthony, I don't remember, but we ended up buying it 9 months later for 300. So even if they're crazy, just make your offer and wait for them to come back. Like I said, the land ain't going anywhere. It's not like they're gonna sell it tomorrow, just like a house. If you make that offer on a house and it's gone tomorrow, it's like, oh my goodness, you missed an opportunity with land. Just make your offer and wait. They'll come back to you. There's plenty of opportunity out there.
Yeah, I would say if you don't know where to target, we'd like to stay under an hour. All major Texas cities for starters. If you just don't know where to target, Fort Worth, Dallas, Austin, Houston, San Antonio. You know, the closer to the city, the better, but that's where stuff's really expensive. So if you go about 30, 45 minutes out, find properties that are valued no less than like $500,000 to $1 million. And see if they're willing to work with you. You know, just say, hey, is there some kind of deal we can put together on this property? Are you just looking for cash? You know, do you think you can finance this thing to us for 6 months to 9 months to a year? Is that something your client might be open to? A lot of agents will say no, and some are going to say yes. So it's even easier and cheaper than pulling a list. If you get in a situation where you need $10,000 down or 50 or 100, you know, to get the deal done, we'll partner with you on it or just pay you an assignment fee. So there's really nothing that should be able to stop you from just getting online, getting on Zillow, picking up the phone, sending some emails, sending some text messages, and just get out there and do it, guys. It's very, very simple. There's nothing you could do to kind of experience it until you get yourself into a deal, and then you'll see how easy it is.
Well, like I said, once again, really appreciate you guys. Seriously, Daniel, Anthony, appreciate you guys. If any of you guys are interested in tapping in with them, they posted all their social media. You can just scroll up on the chat. They posted their Facebook. You know, Google Hivemind, go on Twitter, look at Hivemind, go on IG, look at Hivemind. They're on there. They're all over there. Like I said, they're on here. So they're real people. You guys, heard it from their mouths. This is no fake, no nothing. So connect with these guys, get out there, get to it. Like I said, your dreams aren't going to work if you guys don't work. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. If you guys are looking to, change your situation, or if you guys are looking to go a different route, if you guys are just looking for any type of change, it really starts with you. Daniel can't make you guys want it. Anthony can't make you guys want it. I can't make you guys want it. hell, your partner, whoever no one can make you want it but yourself. So, at some point you got to take accountability and you just got to step up to the plate. Take chances. The worst thing that can happen is you get told no. If you look for 50 land deals and you reach out to 50 people, the worst that's going to happen to you is they say no. So then you try 50 more, then you try 50 more, and then you try 50 more. And then you know what's going to happen? You're going to see where you're going wrong. Eventually that one no might come back around, or you're going to finally get that yes. And then once you do, it's going to be a wrap from there. I'm telling you, once you guys get started with this stuff, you're not going to want to stop. So get started, right? That's the best thing you could do is get started. So appreciate you guys. Daniel, Anthony, salute to you guys. Salute to what you guys are doing. You guys are doing big things. I see you guys. I definitely see it. I recognize it. I got something for you guys. I'll let you know offline. But once again, appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody in the squad, for attending the class. You guys had some really good questions. Like I said, that's the whole point of this stuff, right? I bring these guys on here for you guys to get the knowledge and for you guys to ask questions. There is no such thing as a stupid question or a dumb question. There are some things that people ask that was covered in other classes. That's okay. That's fine. Still ask those questions, and then we'll just let you know, hey, go back, check out the first video, go back, check out the second video. So that way you guys can get a better understanding. But like I said, at the end of the day, if you don't ask it, or if no one else asks it, or if you're going to wait for someone else to ask the question and it never gets asked, you could be missing out on, helping yourself out and possibly helping somebody else out, or even connecting yourself with someone else, because sometimes someone might see you ask a certain question. They might be thinking the same way, and they might think, hey, me and this person are kind of on the same wavelength. Let me reach out to them and see what's going on. So never stop networking, never stop leveling up. Keep going, you guys. Appreciate everyone. Like I said, we're wrapping up January. February is coming fast, you guys. 2023, I'm telling you guys, just like last year, I've been preaching to you guys, time is waiting for no one. Time doesn't care what you got going on. It don't care about, what drama you got going on, what type of sadness you got going on, what type of hurt. We all got it. Everyone is dealing with something. Everyone in this chat right now has some bullshit going on that they got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? That stuff don't stop. So if you guys really want change, if you guys want more for yourself, better for yourself, we're giving you guys the keys. All you got to do is get in the car and drive it. You know what I'm saying? We can't hold your hand. We can't open the door for you, but you know what? We can at least toss you the keys. You got to take that time to leave the house, get in the car, start the car, and get that thing moving. Get it started. You don't have to get there right away. You know what I mean? This stuff takes time. Anthony's been in the game for a really long time. Before Daniel transitioned into this, he was in his field for a very long time. These are people who have skin in the game at what they do. It takes time. They didn't get to where they're at overnight. Anthony, how long have you been doing this for?
We both been doing
this is my fifth year.
Fifth year.
We started
5 years. 5 years in the game. 5 years. And for some of you, today will be your first start. But you know what? 5 years in 2028, you guys can be where they're at and doing this type of stuff. You know what I mean? So let's get it rolling, you guys. Let's get the ball. Like we're turning it up a notch. We need to turn it up. We need to keep elevating, right? We don't want to stay behind. We got to keep elevating. Things are moving quickly. You guys see what's happening in the AI space. Things are changing. Things are changing literally in front of our eyes. There's nothing that it doesn't matter what your opinion is on AI or this or that. If it's happening, it's happening, right? Facts are facts. What's happening is what's happening. So we got to get on board and let's get this thing rolling. So that's all I got for you guys. That's my rant for the day. Once again, I appreciate you guys over at Hivemind coming on, blessing us with some gems. Hopefully some of the squad members will reach out to you guys. I know a few already have, but hopefully we send some more your guys' way. That's all I got for you guys. If you guys ever need me, you guys can always reach out to me in the squad. I check the DMs and messages every day. And that's all I got. You guys have a great rest of your night. I'm out.
Good night.
Appreciate you. Hey guys, if you would like to receive hot leads right to your cell phone in a text message, check out hiveleads.io and you can receive the same leads we've been receiving in our campaign for 3.5 years that's made us successful in the land game. Check us out.
So tell us about yourself. How'd you become an entrepreneur and how long have you been doing it for?
Yeah, so I would say the journey kind of started in 2008. I'd had 6 different jobs that year, not at the same time, but throughout